let's get started. Yesterday we talked about trapping. We wrapped that up. It's important to check your traps each morning, right after daylight. Um, Now I can disagree with that some. So in Arkansas, if it is a water trap or if it's set up to be a kill trap or a dispatch trap, you don't have to check that every 72 hours. Okay. Sometimes I will let those go 72 hours when I feel like that area is being pressured and I don't want to come in there and make any noise. I'll wait 72 hours. Or if I'm running multiple trap lines, I'll wait and only go in every 72 hours. But I've found most time it's better to check them every 24 hours to clear those traps out and you can catch more. But I have found sometimes on predator traps, especially like on bobcats, I was catching a lot of my bobcats at like around 9 o'clock in the morning. Okay, so if I checked them at daylight and I caught a cat at 9 a.m., it would have to be in there till the next morning, right? So that'd be a long time. So I found that pretty much high noon was a good time to check my predator traps if I had time. Now there was a lot of times I was checking them before school every morning, which was I was checking them in the dark. And whenever you're checking traps, try not to go close to them. Just get close enough to see if there's anything in the trap or if it's been set off, because you don't want to spread any human scent on there. So that's trapping. We do need a highlight on page 35. Underneath trapping, it's the first round bullet point underneath trapping. It says, trapping helps control animal populations. Trapping is the most effective way to control animal populations. It is more effective than hunting. Because you think about it, when you're hunting, are you hunting out there 24 hours straight? No. And when you're hunting you're only hunting in one spot, correct? You only watch one area. And you're hunting there during daylight hours. Think about a trap. If you put traps in multiple locations, they're all working 24/7 for you, right? They're much more effective. Okay, let's flip on to page 36. We'll talk about vital shots. Where to shoot. Okay, you need to shoot in the vital region. The most effective shot placement is broadside, okay, in the heart-lung area. So on a whitetail deer, a lot of focus is on whitetail deer because they're very popular to hunt. You need to try to hit them right behind the shoulder. Okay. Now, if you go very far back, is there anything back there?
No. Lungs.
Well, if you go very far back and low, you're getting into liver or stomach. Okay, and you don't want to hit them there. You want to try to go into the lungs and heart region.
This morning, we see
4 big bucks by our house.
Awesome.
They're fighting.
They're fighting, really. So we had a cold front move in last night, and that cold weather probably sparked them off into a little bit of sparring, and they may be thinking about going into the first rut, or preparing for the rut.
What's that mean?
Breeding season. So deer only breed in the fall, okay? So they are short day breeders. So when the day length starts getting shorter, the females will come into heat, and they'll be ready to breed. It's not really controlled by weather necessarily. It's not really controlled by moon phase. It is controlled by length of light, okay? And that's what sets the does into their cycle to be able to be bred. But the cold weather, it's always better to hunt in front of a cold front because it gets the deer up and moving. Changes in barometric pressure are good. Just change is good. If there's a change about to happen in the weather, it's a good time to hunt. Okay? Okay, vital shots. Where to shoot? Try to shoot broadside if you can. If you look at a turkey there, you notice a turkey has a very small kill zone. Broadside is best for bow hunters, but for shotgun hunters, you try to aim at the base of the neck, and it's the best shot. Okay? Now, broadside is best with a firearm or bow. Quarter away gives you a pretty good target. Broadside is best. Quarter away is really good. But now quartering towards you is a very hard shot with a bow because it's protected by the brisket bone and the shoulder blade, but you can make that shot with a rifle. Head on, the problem with that is the deer is facing you, okay? They're watching you. So any movement with the gun or bow, they're going to see you and then they're going to spook. So you need to try to wait until they turn. This is effective with a rifle. I've seen them, if you shoot them right there in the chest, they'll flip backwards. And the problem is, if you shoot a little high right there, see where that white patch in the neck is on that specific deer? If you shot there, you instantly put that animal down, instantly, okay? But think of what's behind that. So you're going to shoot them right there in that white patch through the neck. You just destroyed the back straps. You've destroyed the loin, which is the best meat on the deer, and it's going to go back into the rear end area, and you're going to mess up the hams, the back leg. So that's not good. So we don't want to do that because you're wasting a lot of meat at that point. And trust me, I've been there, I've done that, I've made that mistake. We do not want to shoot them right there. Try not to follow my mistakes that I've made. Rear end and with a bow. I've heard of people doing this. I haven't shot one like that with a bow. But the issue is, that is a lethal shot with a bow. Okay, if you shoot them right in the chest, the brisket, it is a lethal shot. However, you're probably not going to find that deer because it will not exit, the arrow will not exit, and it will not be a blood trail. The arrow will go in, it'll plug up that hole, and the deer will run off, and it more than likely will die of that wound, but you won't ever find it. So that's not any good. And in rear end, that's the Texas bullseye. Do not take that shot. Approaching down game. A little clear. A downed deer or a large animal will be approached carefully above and behind the head. If the animal appears to be dead, wait for a short distance for a few minutes, watching your eyes and fall in the chest, see if they're breathing. Okay? If the eyes are closed, it means that animal's still alive. Okay? 100%. If the eyes are closed, the animal's still alive. If the eyes are open, it could be alive or dead. But I can tell you, if the eyes are closed, it means it's still alive. What you should do if the animal's still alive, it'd be a quick shot to the base of the ear, or a shot to the heart and lung area. Okay? Don't try to jump on it and ride it and cut its throat. Okay? Don't try to do that. Most time when people do that, they cut the windpipe, because the windpipe, you feel your windpipe, okay? So if you do that, which is what most people will do when they cut a deer's throat, that's not, if you cut the windpipe, that's cutting off their air. They can still live 30 seconds to a minute or so with that, and it's not a pleasant experience for you or the deer, or anybody that's around hearing the commotion. So quick shot to the base of the ear, or the heart lung area if you're going to mount that deer. It tells you here in the book, if you're not sure if it's alive or not, you can approach it from the backside and take a stick and poke it in the eyeball. Well, because, yeah, it's going to blink. If you poke it in the back, let's say it may not feel it in the back, but it's going to feel it in the eye. So if it's alive, then you'll definitely know then. Think, if you got poked in the eye, you're going to know. Yeah, with a stick. With a pine stick. Alright, field care of game. Field care basics. Okay? Let's get to that. Oh, wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Once the animal is taken, if it's a big game animal, deer, turkey, or bear in Arkansas, you must put your tag on it immediately. Okay? You get hunting tags. You can make your own hunting tags now, but you have to put your license number on there. And it has to be attached to the game before you ever move it. Okay? You cannot move the animal before you tag it. And once you tag it, you can take care of it and move it. Next, trailing wounded game. It is the hunter's ethical responsibility to find the animal. You can use dogs, you can use rope trailing dogs, but they must be on a leash. So whenever I'm tracking a deer, I always carry some surveying tape with me. I always carry a good light. And you just go slow, you don't contaminate the area. You give that animal at least 30 minutes to an hour before you start trying to track. You go find where you shot the deer, or whatever game you're chasing, and then you start slowly looking for blood. If you lose blood, you mark it, and you go back and you get a zigzag pattern until you can find that blood again. You may end up having to be on your hands and knees. I've tracked some deer a long ways before. If you walk up and there's an area that has a lot of blood, and the leaves are patted down, then there'll be a deer bed. Okay, if you walk up on that, there's a lot of blood there in a deer bed, and the deer's not there, you need to pull out and wait several hours before you come back to that, because that means that that deer was laying down and you bumped it up and moved it. So it means it's still alive. You need to give it some more time to let it perish. Okay? Most of the time,
What's the longest you've ever chased a deer?
distance-wise,
Yeah.
we tracked one, I think 1.5 miles, 2 miles one time. I'm a decent tracker. We tracked one across the hayfield for 1.5 miles one time.
That's fun.
Yeah, because it was mowed grass, and leaves are really easy to track deer on. Grass is not. Okay, because think about leaves on the forest floor, it's almost like a flat canvas for that blood to drop on. But grass stands up, it can drip down through the grass and hide the droplets. One thing I have learned this year is taking a bottle of peroxide, spray bottle, and you can spray the leaves, and then peroxide, what does it do to blood?
It
Bubbles up and turns white, correct? So bubbles up, turns white, it has a reaction with that iron, and you can see that blood even better.
I don't know like deer meat that much.
Yeah.
It's good.
Okay, and then once we tracked one in the snow, I shot 2 deer once in the snow, and we tracked them a lot, probably 2 miles.
That'd be easier.
It was easier, and on that deer, I noticed it was backtracking me. It's turning around, and that deer we ended up, and we gave it time, but it was still alive when we found it. We had to dispatch it again, or dispatch it fully. Okay, tracked a lot of deer. Let's move on to field care basics. Heat is the number one concern. That's what we need to highlight on page 38. Underneath field care basics, the first round bullet point, heat is the number one concern. In Arkansas, it doesn't hardly ever get cold enough just to leave that game out, okay? It needs to be below 40 degrees to be able to hang a deer with no entrails. So you have to get those entrails out, the guts. Bacteria grow rapidly in the carcass. Meat begins to spoil over 40 degrees Fahrenheit. The higher temperature and the longer meat is exposed, the greater chance of spoilage. Moisture also encourages the growth of bacteria, and dirt can introduce bacteria. The best thing to do is, in my opinion, this is what I do. A lot of people will field dress, which means they'll gut the animal right there where it's laying, and move the heart, lungs, the guts, everything out of the deer. What I prefer and what I think is better is as soon as I find deer, I will take it and I'll either pull up in a tree right there or I will haul it back to camp. And what I do is I skin the deer fully right then. And I debone the deer and take all the usual meat off, and I don't ever gut the deer. I do waste a little bit in the ribs. I do waste a little bit in, I don't save the heart. Okay? But everything else I do, and I debone, and I can skin and debone and put it in the cooler. My fastest time is 5 minutes and 36 seconds.
A whole deer.
Whole deer.
You keep the whole, not.
Yeah, so that was, I had the deer hanging in my shop, and I pulled all the hide off of it. I used only a knife, and I completely skinned the deer, deboned, and had it in the cooler in 5 minutes, 36 seconds. It can be done. I've seen people take 45 minutes to do it. That's fine. If you don't do a lot of deer, you're not gonna be practiced up. That's fine. But what I do, is I'll debone that deer and I'll throw it in a cooler of ice. And some people will say do not let water touch the meat. I disagree with that. To me, I want my deer to be very mild tasting, so I will throw it in ice water and I will change that ice water for 4 days. So every day I'll change that water, add new ice, and that drains all the blood out of the meat. It makes the meat very mild, and it doesn't have a strong gamey taste. Because I don't want to feed deer meat to any of my friends or people that never had it before and it be very strong. Some people disagree with that. So you see some gear there on page 38 in the margin. All that stuff, you really don't need any of that necessarily, other than a knife and plastic bags. That's about it. I've used all that before, but you don't have to have it. A good knife, 4 to 6 inches blade, perfect size. I've cleaned a lot of deer with a pocket knife, but I have a knife that I prefer that's a big butcher knife. It's 6 inches long. The blade is.
Do you use that to do like the 5 minute 36 seconds?
The new razor blade knives work really well if you don't have a great sharpening system, or if you're not very talented in sharpening knives. The new razor blade knives, like the Havilands, the Apple Edges, the Weeby knives, where it's just like a scalpel blade and you just take the blade off, throw it away, put a new one on. They work really good. I have a sharpener that I sharpen my knives with, and I just like them better. Okay, here's a helpful tip. You can put pepper on your meat, your raw meat, and if it's out, you can sprinkle a bunch of black pepper on that, and it'll keep flies away. The next thing we need to highlight is on 39. Is the first square bullet point on 39. Well, let's just highlight underneath the picture, okay? See that picture on transporting game? Okay? We should keep game covered to be sure to avoid offending others. Okay? We shouldn't be tying the deer to the hood of the car or the roof of the car or letting it swing from the hanger in the back of the truck or, shouldn't be doing it.
Would it be illegal to do that?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
So,
In Arkansas, I'm not sure.
but it's legal, like you can do that in some places.
Some places, and then I was watching a show in Maine, and it's illegal to hide the animal or to cover the animal. It had to be exposed.
So I can see if it's like,
I saw guys on Northwoods Law, and they gave the guy a ticket for, he had a moose on a trailer and he covered it with a tarp. That way,
nothing got hidden or anything. Mixed it up.
yeah, well, that way you didn't see like a bloody moose going down that interstate.
I think
So,
it's hanging over the tail.
we try to be courteous to non-hunters. There's a lot more non-hunters out there than there are hunters. Okay, so we try to be courteous and not, have a bloody deer hanging out or have blood all over your truck or walk into the gas station and have, blood all over your camouflage clothes and all over your hands. You try to clean up a little bit before you go in.
Because that's just gonna, it looks like you killed someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, cops gonna be cold.
Okay, so that's pretty much it on that. We're gonna watch a video of field care.